Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching, whatever time you're listening. Welcome to Your Onion podcast show. Today we have a very great guest, Alihan Tokmak.
Yes, correct.
Is that how you pronounce it?
That's.
I've known Alihan for years, but I've never really pronounced your surname. It's not something that I do. I go, hello, Mr. Tokmak. It's always
No,
Alihan.
We never did that.
No, we don't. We never did that.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's taken a while to get you on the show.
Sorry?
It's taken a while to get you on the show.
Yeah.
You've always been dodging me. Every time I say, come on, Alihan, you need to come on the show. So what changed your mind?
That's not entirely true, you know?
What changed your mind? Is business that bad?
I never changed my mind. I was always looking forward to it, but never had the chance to until today.
Yeah.
We scheduled it finally.
We did schedule it finally. So Alihan, for all our listeners and people watching this, give us a brief introduction to who you are, where you've come from, and why you ended up here in Qatar.
That's a good question.
Well, then okay,
yeah.
Go on then.
So I run a company called Hexagon, and we are in the events industry. We are an event management company, taking care of an event from A to Z, or sometimes we are subcontracted by other event management companies to provide our services for special effects or artist booking and some other services that we can cooperate with. I've been in Qatar for almost 7 years now. I came to Qatar in 2012 March. I'm Turkish, and Qatar has been my home. I feel like home since like past 5 years. The first 2 years was tough, but after passing through the tough years, I started feeling Qatar like home.
Okay.
I enjoy being here.
So what were you doing before you actually arrived here? And why what actually brought you to Qatar? No, you didn't give us the whole...
I didn't give you the whole thing. I'm a bit mystic, you know.
You are. You went back the other way. You went from, what you're actually doing now and then working backwards where everyone else goes the other way.
Because the present is more important, you know.
Well,
living
yeah,
the moment.
I know people who are actually watching will be curious to find out what you actually do.
Before coming to Qatar, I was involved in events back in Turkey since I think 1998. I've been working with my current partner here in Hexagon. He still has an event management agency in Turkey, and we've been together since 1998.
So how did you meet your partner?
By birth. He's my cousin.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So it's in the family.
Yeah, it's in the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get on with your cousin when you were younger?
Actually, I was getting on more than I used to now. You know, after becoming,
oh, really?
After becoming business partners, you know, you have some.
I can imagine.
Spats,
yeah.
You know. No, but I mean, we're in good condition, of course. But at the end of the day, sometimes we argue about stuff, and he's older than me, so he expects more of a respect.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, there's still that, with the whole family.
Yeah,
because I'm older than you.
No, it's not like the attitude, but it's the energy vibe coming out from him. It's like that, Anyway, back in Turkey, I was not doing only events. I was working for multinational companies. I work for Hasbro, which is one of the biggest brands in toys industry. They are the producers of Transformers. They own the Transformers brand. It was really fun to work with Hasbro. Then I work for Kiko, the Italian brand who's in the baby industry.
Yeah, because I was going through your LinkedIn actually. And,
yes.
And your languages, it just says English and Italian.
So it does, yeah.
Where's the Turkish?
I don't know.
You said you were Turkish.
I don't speak Turkish. that would be funny, no?
Well, that's what I thought. Is that why you are able to speak Italian?
No, actually, it's coming from my father because my father was a Navy officer and he was the naval attaché in Rome between the years 1989 to 1992.
Yeah.
So we lived in
You
Rome
lived in
for
Rome.
2.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's where my Italian basics come from.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so that's it. But good catch, yeah. Thank you.
Well, I did go through your
Yeah.
LinkedIn thing, and,
And,
I did point out that you, in your title, you are junior partner of
Yeah.
Hexagon.
Yes, correct.
And then when you go down to the actual Hexagon, it does say managing partner and general manager.
Mhm.
So obviously, when
I
you were,
started as the general manager, and I was not a partner at the beginning. After having some success, let's say, I was awarded by the actual partners to become a partner. So I took that chance, and now I'm a partner also.
okay, well, all right. As you've skimped over, your background in Turkey,
Yeah.
let's jump ahead. So you came to Qatar to set up Hexagon, or was Hexagon already running?
No, Hexagon only had a CR set it up.
Okay.
That was the only thing.
So
that
why did they
Hexagon-
choose the name Hexagon?
Actually, we chose it with my cousin.
Okay, where does it come from?
We were going for an emotional name,
Well,
it's not. It's I know it doesn't sound.
where
emotional.
does the emotional come from?
We are trying to touch the sixth sense of people when we're doing an event, which is
Oh.
I don't know. Sometimes amaze people, shock people, make them happy.
So that's
That's
six
the
sides
philosophy.
of
Yeah,
Hexagon.
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So-
Do you have that as a slogan, or is it just Hexagon?
No, the hexagon. Actually, in the slogan, yes, it's hidden because we have hexagon experience beyond moments. So
Ah,
we're trying to provide an experience beyond moments.
very good.
Yeah,
So who came up with the name?
my cousin.
Okay.
I mean, I keep saying my cousin, but actually he's my partner. So my partner.
Yeah, your partner,
Yeah.
your cousin. Okay.
Yeah, he's the creative, bright guy in the company.
Yeah.
If you'd ask how we end up with having Hexagon, it was my other partner, German guy, Markus Katerle, who's the CEO of Flashart.
Okay.
He met with our local partner, Mr. Mohammed. They ended up deciding to have a event management company, seeing the potential in Qatar. And we were already involved in some of the events that we were doing in Turkey with Marcus. So Marcus offered the opportunity to my cousin Boray.
Yeah.
And Marcus and Boray offered me the job.
Okay.
Over a dinner, very friendly conversation. It was very...
With a few glasses of grape
yeah.
juice.
Grape juice, yeah, exactly.
And you accepted?
I accepted, yeah.
Because-
On the spot.
Because I've only seen you, so are you the face of Hexagon? Is that...
We can easily say that I'm
Yeah.
the face of Hexagon because I'm the only partner that is
Actually working?
actively being in Qatar.
Okay.
Of course, we have Mr. Mohammed Khalifa. He's an active partner,
All right.
but he's not running the daily business, and I'm running the daily business.
Okay.
As you know, we've been dealing for so long.
Yeah.
So you can easily say that I'm the face of Hexagon. Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
And so what kind of events do you cover? Or is it everything and anything?
We mainly cover big scale events. We are pitching for big tenders to cover festivals and some other organizations that are big. Recently, I can tell you we did the Eid celebrations for Qatar this year for both of them. It was 10 minutes of fireworks every day and present distribution, some technical setup and live music coordination.
Yeah.
But other than that, we also work with private companies to organize their corporate events.
Yeah.
In the pipeline, we have some couple of events that just before Christmas actually. Organizing some end of the year parties for private organizations.
Okay, so it can vary from private organizations that have got like a kind of a small kind of event to a big
large scale
event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our strong side is in Hexagon is the combination of the partners. Marcus being the special effects guy and the designer for these kind of stuff. And when I say special effects, I mean fireworks, laser shows, water shows, light installations. And Boray being the creative person in the company, knowing a lot of resources outside in the world, knowing a lot of knowledge with the entertainment world. And me being the operations guy based here in Qatar. It's a good combination, to be honest.
Yeah, that's good. What's it like to pull an event, like a large-scale event together, and what kind of lead-up time do you need for such events?
Well,
because there's a lot of
aspects of the
event to pull together.
Yeah, correct. Well, actually, I can answer this in two aspects. If you're in Qatar, the timing would be one week is enough to pull out a large scale event.
Well, anyone running a business here knows that. Yeah, that's what's expected.
Exactly, because there's a large scale event coming up end of December.
Yeah,
and we were dealing with the client. The main client is a government entity, and there's another agency that we were dealing with. To provide them some entertainment, including fireworks and lasers.
Yeah.
And we start dealing with them last week.
Really?
Yeah, only, and the event is like within less than 2 weeks' time.
Wow. Yeah. But do you scale it in regards to the amount of time you've got? Because you can't, do...
Yeah, of course. I mean, some of the things...
But like with client expectation, that's the problem that we have.
We always explain to the client...
You explain them that, look, you've only got this amount of time. So
exactly,
this is, this is what we can do within that short period of time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes you know exactly like some parts of the event or the aspects of the event needs to be produced.
Yeah.
Like printed material or the branding materials, they can be arranged somehow within couple of days, but organizing a large-scale fireworks show doesn't happen in a week time. First of all, there's a lot of governmental procedures that you have to follow in order to import
well, I was going to say, how does that, that must take a lot of time, or does it help depending on your client to be able to get stuff in?
It does. Honestly, it does. Depending on the client, it does help to get on with the procedures for a fireworks show. If the client is a governmental entity, it's much more easy to go along with the import license. However, nevertheless, if the client is governmental or not, there's a procedure. There's a certain procedure to have the import license.
Yeah.
Because there's no permanent import license for fireworks or dangerous goods to the country. You get the license on project basis.
Okay. So they have to evaluate.
Yeah, exactly, and it has to go through a couple of entities, and majorly the biggest entity that you have to deal with is Internal Security Forces, ISF, and they have a department called a Dangerous Explosives Department.
Yeah,
and it is run by a general, which is a very bright man, and I really admire him, General Ghanem.
Yeah.
He goes very carefully, and his team goes very carefully about all the aspects. Their main concern, of course, is the public health and security when it comes to fireworks. So they go very carefully about all the aspects. Then you start applying to the other entities. Like one of the entities, of course, you can imagine is the Qatar Civil Aviation.
Yeah, exactly. If you're putting loads of fireworks up there.
Yeah, so That's one of them.
Does it depend? Does it also depend on where the fireworks are made? Does that come into aspect with the sourcing your fireworks? You have to give that whole.
Of course.
You have to give the
all
whole
the
breakdown of-
specs. You need to give all the specs to one of the entities that you need to get a permit from is Ministry of Environment. And during the process of getting the import license, we need to apply to Ministry of Environment, present them all the documents and specs of the fireworks.
Just so because you're putting stuff up in the air and
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And then it explodes and there's residue,
yeah.
of course, and they just make sure that the residue doesn't harm
No,
anything,
that's great.
any
It's great
environment.
that they do that. And
No,
they're
no,
concerned about
definitely. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, I explain to people, to my clients, what the procedure is, but I'm more than happy that Qatar is taking these procedures
Oh,
and
absolutely.
predictions.
And is it you that actually goes to all these ministries, or have you got someone a man that can go to all the ministries that knows the whole format?
Of course, we're working with people who are very well connected with the ministries, but basically it's me following up all the
Following
procedures,
up all the
or
procedures.
one of my colleagues
Yeah.
in the company. Yeah.
I'm surprised you haven't lost your hair and gone grey. You're doing very well.
Thank you very much. My beard started really.
Although, isn't Turkey the best place for hair transplants?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe.
No, I've been through Turkey several times, and I've seen a lot of people with various.
with the bands.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I never
That's good.
knew before. You know, you're sitting in the waiting area, and you see people with various bandages on their head. It's just like, what have they done?
Yeah, you can imagine if you don't know the procedure of hair implantation, you can think, oh, was there a major accident?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
A laser
Yeah.
accident? Like everybody's
sure.
cut from the same place. Yeah.
Actually, I was stuck on an aeroplane traveling through Turkey, and then there was this girl from London, and she wanted to talk to everyone, and literally I heard about her life story as well as what she was going to Turkey for. She
Okay.
was going for various plastic surgery on various parts of her body.
Okay. And
She was a
explain-
model. She was like a kind of a model. So.
It was not just health issues, just
No, it was for adjustments.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
we digress. Is fireworks still popular, or are we, with technology, because I've seen some amazing shows recently here and abroad with regards to drones. Have you got into drones?
We do provide that kind of service.
Yeah.
We do have a company that we work with who designs drone shows.
Yeah.
But we were never able to do it here in Qatar yet.
Okay.
If you ask me if the fireworks are still popular, yes, they are very.
There's still
very
everyone loves a
popular.
good fireworks show.
Yes, but if you ask me, fireworks could really go along with other show elements.
Yeah.
Like a laser show or a water show. It's much more interesting to tell a story. If you're doing a big scale event and let's say you're launching a product, the fireworks is not just of course it's a very emotional show element, but if you combine it with some other show elements like a laser, you can actually tell this story, or you can combine it with a video mapping, which is much more intense way of explaining the story or telling the story behind the event. Because at the end of the day, every event that we organize has a story behind it. It's not just we're doing an event and that's it.
Well, I was going to say, is there any thinking behind the actual fireworks? Do you set off the fireworks depending on the kind of music?
We
or
do.
Or does someone go, oh yeah, that'd be nice, put up this kind of color, this kind of bang?
We discuss all the aspects with the client. What kind of music do they want? What kind of colors do they want to see? Of course, in Qatar, mainly people want to see the maroon color and the white color together.
Of course, yes.
Which is normal. But unfortunately, maroon color does not exist in the rainbow colors. It's not an RGB color, as you know. We have to mix some stuff, and we mainly use very dark red. I always explain it to the client. It's not going to be actual maroon. It's because
and they're okay with that.
I mean,
They have to, yeah.
I mean, if you come to me 8 months before a fireworks show, and you say, "Can you do a maroon color?" and the show is 8 months from now.
Oh, okay. So you
I
can
say
to
yes.
order.
Yeah, we can.
if there's enough
We can
to-
produce it.
Ah, okay.
We can produce it, but the existing colors, no, unfortunately, it doesn't. But to your question about the design, my partner Marcus is the one who designs the actual shows, and he designs the show based on the brief that we get from the client. So let's say the client, we give the client some options for music, or they can give us the music in such times. Based on the music, the fireworks show is designed. So without having the music, we usually don't. I mean, I never did a fireworks show without music here.
No. No, it must be quite hard.
No, I mean, actually, it's much easier to just
What, without the music?
without the music to do a show. Just
Oh, really?
put some colors and
Yeah, but then isn't it quite random?
it is quite random.
That's like
yeah.
us editing a film and saying in silence.
Yeah.
You can tell a story,
Yeah.
but you know it helps when there's actual music or something to kind of lay down alongside.
That's
the
correct.
edit.
Yeah.
Okay, how's the last 2 years been for you guys? Because you know I did feel there was a drop in the amount of events that happened. You know, years back or 5 years back, there was a lot of events happening.
Hmm.
Last 2 years, I noticed there was a drop off with regards to events. Did that affect you? And you know, how did you kind of cope with that?
Well, basically, for the last 2 years, I can say not only for Hexagon but for many other companies who managed to exist in Qatar, it's the survival years for us. The petrol crisis in 2000, starting from 2015.
15, yeah.
Then the blockade happening in 2017. It was just some crisis in the country, and not only the events amounts were reduced, but also the budgets spared for the allocated for any kind of event was really cut down a lot. Luckily, we were able to survive. We had some major events that helped us to go through the tough years. But to be honest, for the past 3 months in Qatar, I see the market moving up.
Oh, absolutely. The whole market's changed now, and there is a momentum.
Exactly. Yeah.
Building up, and I've noticed there's a lot of events happening now.
Yeah.
But I was just curious, you know.
Yeah,
how...
but you're right. I mean, for the past 2 years, definitely it was like a dry years.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about, you know, working with other event companies, like bigger event companies.
Yes, true.
Is that relationship, because, you know, that kind of amazes me sometimes, because, you know, with production companies, we generally don't work together. It's a dog-eat-dog kind of, you know, we're all chasing the same kind of tenders, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But with the event companies, you seem to have this relationship where you pull together.
We do, yes. But not all the event companies, but some of the very major companies here in Qatar. We throughout the years we managed to build up a very trusted relationship. So basically, to use the terms, we don't step on their toes because they're pitching for major events and bigger events.
Yeah. So you kind of have your limitations on
exactly.
the kind of events.
I mean, we know our capacity and we know our limits that we can go up to.
Yeah.
So they're okay to work with us because they know that our strength is also being subcontracted to organize, let's say, fireworks or laser shows or water shows, whatever. And we proved that we were able to be in good partnership with them, so they still trust
yeah, that's
us.
great, and that's healthy.
I mean, we even have some. Absolutely, I found this very healthy.
Yeah,
I found this very healthy because I was going to tell you, we have one client slash subcontractor that sometimes they use us as a subcontractor for their events, and sometimes we use them as a subcontractor for our events,
Yeah.
which is very healthy kind of a relationship
Yeah.
because we compensate each other where we are not able to execute the aspects.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's an important thing to satisfy the client as per their needs.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the end goal, is to make a client very happy.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
you know, do you, when you go to the client, do you make it clear that you know, this is who we are, and also these are our subcontractors, so that it's very honest and upfront?
We do, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't tell my clients, for example, let's say if I'm going to work with Ginger Camel on an event, I don't go to the client and say, oh, we do film production and photography in-house. No,
Yeah.
I say I'm working with one of the best companies in Qatar.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I'll pay you later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay.
And I tell them very honestly, we're working with them, but I mean, our scope of work or our job description is actually management of the whole event for that kind of a contract.
Yeah.
So we are very clear to the client that we're working with subcontractors, and we're not doing it in-house, and
Yeah.
we're doing what we're providing them is actually management of the event.
No,
So
that's
we
good.
are like the coordination of a couple of subcontractors,
Yeah.
and the client is happy because at the end of the day they have one focus point,
Yeah.
and they don't have to go through the headache of dealing with every single subcontractor. And we are happy because I have the ability, or we have the ability, to work with different subcontractors for different events every time, which gives us unlimited sources.
Yeah. No, that's great. What kind of major issues have you had in the past when doing events? Has there been I remember being sitting in one of the travel agents, and I had an event person next to me, and they were trying to get visas for you know, for talent to come in, and because the talent were coming from all over the world, I just thought, wow, that must be a huge headache.
It is, yeah.
And I know, just overhearing, I was just being nosy, or just overhearing that they weren't allowed to bring in certain people. Has that changed over the years? Because they, you know, Qatar have kind of eased up on the whole visa
that
situation.
has definitely has changed. I mean, the after the blockade, obviously it changed a lot. The policy in the immigration, it does have a big change in it, and you know, Eastern Europeans who are not in the European Union had to go through all the visa procedures, but now they don't need to
No,
go
it's
through that.
easier.
It's just, you know, on arrival visa,
Oh, that's good.
and you can bring them with business visa and so on. So it's much more easier. What kind of problematics that we had to dealt with during the events, I can tell you easily. It's because the time frame.
Yeah.
I was actually reading an article yesterday on LinkedIn. I'll share it with you. It said there's always limited time, but it's always the last minute kind of a arrangement, and that is what Qatar is, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's the challenging part for us.
Yeah.
Even some of the major events that we're pitching for, we're tendering for, the tender comes out quite late, and there is no actual time to prepare for it. So basically what happens, I can tell you, it's good that you brought it up, because it's a thing that I've been keeping in in me for a long time.
Yeah.
Like for a million real kind of a project, if you had the chance to prepare yourself on a longer term, you could deliver a much better event to the client, and the client would be much more happy and much more satisfied. But it's just like, let's have an event next week, and let's have a tender right now. Just send out the RFQ and close the RFQ in 2 days. That
is my frustration when we do get a tender come out and they say, okay, we need, so it comes out on the Wednesday and then it has to be delivered by the Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's a huge tender, and you just think you're not going to get the best out of us with regards to creativity, with the actual proposal. And it's over the weekend as well. It's just like,
I don't want to make my people work during a weekend.
No, but this is it as well. There's
we have to. Event business is like being a junkie, to be honest. We all say that. I'm sure people who are listening.
Yeah, it's like the advertising world and the production world. It's all the same, isn't it?
It is. You cannot refuse it, but you keep doing it.
No, absolutely, and they would get a better product if they had gave us more time.
I can tell you we just recently did an event 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
For a government entity. We were dealing with the entity for about 2 weeks before the event. It was not a very major event. We just provided some talent for the event itself. We got the official awarding in written for the event 2 days before the event. And we had to submit a performance bond to the client in order to proceed with all the payment procedures.
Yes.
So of course we applied to the bank as soon as we got the official letter. We got the official performance bond a day after the event.
Yeah.
I was able to submit to the client, and I'm still waiting for the contract to come along. After the contract, we'll have an LPO, and hopefully we'll be able to submit our invoice and get paid. Let's say.
But this is it. A lot of the time, you do work on trust. When you're dealing with clients,
that's the funny part. One of the challenges in the past, let's say 3 years that we're facing, because I remember in 2014 and 2015 things were much faster, and there was. I do respect all these kind of procedures because they are necessary in order to have an actual auditing system. I do respect them all. But in terms of time frame, it doesn't work.
No.
Right now, I'm sure many of the event companies are doing the same. We are actually financing an event ourselves before even getting an advance payment or anything.
Yeah. Do you get advance payment? Because that's the issue that I have.
The government entities, they don't pay advance payments anymore.
No.
That's one of the challenges that we're having here in Qatar. You're going for a tender, you have to submit a tender bond. Then, in case you win the tender, then
you have to
then you have to submit a performance bond, and that's like the 10% of the agreed
of the actual,
budget.
Absolutely.
After that, they don't pay you advance payment unless you submit an advance payment bond.
Yes, which
freezes your funds in the bank.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing, and you lose time actually to get this advance payment bond. So you end up doing the event by your own funds.
Yes. So you've done all that, plus, especially with a management company, that you probably have to pay up front for the talent and everything else that you've sourced.
Yeah, of course. The companies here in Qatar that we work with, they of course know how the system is. So we are more flexible working with these companies. Some of our subcontractors are flexible enough that they say, okay, we are okay when you pay us, when you get paid.
When you get paid,
but I cannot do that with when I'm bringing a talent from outside Qatar,
No.
and I have to do minimum an advance payment of 50%, and then when the event is complete, I have to pay the other 50%. So basically, I'm covering the whole
Absolutely.
finance.
No, I feel for you, and we're in the same situation. This is always my bugbear, is the fact that
Yeah.
I'm funding everything before
Yeah.
I see any money, and generally I have to wait about 2 to 3 months to
Yeah.
actually get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think something needs to change, because if yes, this country is very reliant on the oil and gas industry, but we want to encourage small businesses and startups, etc. But with all this in the way, it's very hard to start a business, because that is the biggest hurdle in a way. When
exactly. And to be honest, it's not like in my country, for example. If you go to if you're in this kind of a situation in Turkey, you can easily go to a bank and ask for a loan, and within a couple of days you would be able to get a loan if you have a contract. But here in Qatar,
no, the banks. That's the same situation I'm having as well. Is the banks don't want to know.
Yeah. I mean, there were so much of bankruptcies in the past couple of years, as far as I heard, and in construction business, the banks are very skeptical for small and medium enterprises now.
Yeah. But as you say, if you've got a contract and you can prove that you've won the contract,
it doesn't work.
That should be, that should.
No, it doesn't work. I tried a couple of times.
Especially if you just want 25% of the actual. You're not asking for the full amount.
No, exactly.
You're just asking for 25%. But they don't want to know.
No, they don't. I mean, even if you're working for with the bank for long term, you get refused.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, we could talk about this for a long time, but it's interesting, and because this is a business podcast, it's what businesses need to know.
Actually, I mean, business people need to know about these stuff, and I'm sure many business people are sharing these kind of problematics, not only in our industry but other industries as well.
Oh, absolutely, across the board.
But I absolutely agree with you. Like, these rules about payment terms and everything, most likely they're built for construction companies and oil and gas companies, but it doesn't work for the marketing industry.
No, for sure.
It absolutely doesn't work for the marketing industry. So I think if these government entities have consultancies, I would love to talk to one of these consultants and explain to them why there were so many companies running out of business in Qatar in the past couple of years, and explain them point by point what was happening.
No, for sure. No, it's funny. Sometimes I get tenders, and the way it's written is for an oil and gas supplier.
Yeah,
it's not written for our industry.
They just changed the name.
Absolutely, and you're reading through it, and it's just like, really, half the stuff I don't understand.
Yeah,
and the document is like 30 odd pages long as well.
30. That's a very optimistic number. I mean, if you're going for a governmental entity, I've seen tender documents more than 100 pages.
Yeah. No, I was when I had to do it myself.
First time when I was going to tell you, like 7 years ago, when I first had my tender document, I was reading it, and I felt like I was reading a very long book.
Absolutely.
That I don't understand. It's like Shakespeare, and I never...
No, for sure. I was the same. It was just like, and then you have to double check. So you give it to someone else just to make sure that, you understood and that they understood. And that
At that time, I passed over the document to a lawyer friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he was like, this has nothing to do with your industry.
No, exactly. Anyway, enough of the tender process and governmental issues. Yeah. What's coming up for Hexagon?
What's coming up for Hexagon is we have lined up projects for some corporate events, and we have pitched for some nice projects that could be very interesting and entertaining for public. Still in the tendering process, But other than that, we are planning to extend our business and have more joint ventures, like we were discussing with you, to use your skills for the digital marketing.
Yeah.
I'm very much interested in that field to extend the business for Hexagon.
Yeah.
I see the market generally in Qatar that still has a great potential. The clients slowly, they're understanding the way of marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So
And do you feel there's a momentum moving forward to the World Cup as well? Are you looking at talent that is around sport as well? Is that something that you're looking at as we move closer?
We are, of course.
Okay.
I mean that's one of the biggest, let's say, pies that is coming up.
Yeah,
of course, every single event management agency is dreaming of being the part of the ceremonies or the World Cup organization itself.
Yeah.
But at the moment, the entity who's organizing the actual World Cup is a bit silent. So I think we'll know within the next couple of months.
Yeah, you're right. I thought there would
but
be.
in 2019, there's the World Gymnastics happening in Qatar, so that'll be a very major sports
No, it's
event.
the World Athletics.
Athletics, sorry.
Athletics, because the gymnastics have just happened. Yes.
Athletics, sorry.
No, you're right. It's the World Athletics,
Yeah.
and then
That's a major sport event, so that'll be interesting to see. And
we had Nick on our podcast, who's organising the World Corporate Games as well after that.
Yeah.
So it's really going to be an eventful year.
Yeah. I'm very much interested to meet him once. And
no, absolutely. No, I'm sure. Well, he's in later actually, but for a meeting. But it's I lost my train of thought. No, it's funny about the actual World Cup entity that I thought there would be huge razzmatazz, but maybe they've got a whole plan of building up the momentum. Maybe it's too early. Maybe we're just on the starting blocks of.
But probably, I'm thinking that it is too early because.
Because I never realised that, and someone said to me within the organisation that they couldn't do anything or shout out about it until after Russia had finished.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise that because I thought, come on, we should be
Promoting
having stickers
it
and promoting it, and
yeah.
it's just like, no, we have to let the dust settle, and then
It's still the year of Russia.
So, is it? Oh, so they still have to. Okay.
Yeah, I mean they hand over the flag already to Qatar, but what I meant is it's the year of culture for Russia here in Qatar. So maybe they're just waiting for the moment to pass.
And then
in 2019
they will start kicking off.
Just maybe.
Anyway, this podcast will go out in January anyway, so we'll see.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
Right? Okay. Well, thank you, Alihan. Thanks for coming on the show.
Stefan.
It's been very enlightful listening to more about the events because we touch base with your events sometimes, but actually getting an insight into what actually happens, it's been very enlightening.
Thank you very much.
So thank you. And I'm glad you have the same issues as I have when it comes to
I'm sure
tenders and payments and stuff like that.
I'm sure there's thousands of people having the same issues.
That's true. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And if you want to be on this podcast, just get in touch with us via all our social media handles and drop us a line and tell us about your business. And we'd love to have you on this podcast. So take care and have a good week. Thank you very much.